new video. This one is a continuation of the series of my memoirs of being a little troublemaker as a kid. And yeah, honestly, I've been thinking about this, and I don't want to write this shit down at the moment. I just want to video it and think about it and reminisce and tell some people the shit that I got up to. But honestly, that does mean that the memories are going to be very disjointed. We'll get into it later in the series, but yeah, I shot my memory to shit in my youth, so it's hard to recall a lot of things, but I'll try. So last we left off was my big escape from daycare, and yeah, from that moment onwards I was marked with this yellow hat. So, you know, when I look back on it, it was very, not just physically in the world, people being like, this kid's a troublemaker, you got to keep an eye on him, but like spiritually it was almost like I was branded at that point as the kid that you got to watch out for. So I didn't really get into too much trouble throughout daycare, nothing that I remember that was too severe. You know, they would probably always tell my mum, Josh did this, or he's being too rowdy, or, you know, he likes attention too much. Things like that. And then I went and started kindergarten. And my first year of kindergarten, again, I didn't get into much trouble. I think as a kid at that point, I was just very excited to be going to school. Like, you know, I felt like a big kid. And so I was kind of just playing along. But it wasn't until grade 1 after kindergarten that I really started causing a lot of trouble again. And this is also where the kleptomania comes in again, because one of the first things I remember doing that I knew I wasn't meant to do back in grade 1 was, I don't know what even happened. The teacher mustn't have noticed or something, because it must have been early in the year and she didn't know us all very well. And I just snuck out of class, went for a walk around the school. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna go see what's happening, you know. And I was ducking and dodging in hallways and stuff. And I remember going into the staff room and all the teachers are teaching, so the staff room's empty, and I go, ooh, you know, opened the fridge and found a massive cake, and I'm like, hell yeah. And I sat there and I was eating this cake in the staff room, and then I go, oh shit, I should probably go back to class, and sneak back around and crawled under a little divider, and then I was back in my classroom. So, you know, another escape attempt. Yeah, but throughout grade 1, it was all small shit, like stuff you'd expect kids doing, and then things like that, like leaving class and stuff like that. I do remember the next year, my mum was, well, at that point, my mum was actually already fed up with my behaviour. Like, so I can't really remember a lot of it, but, you know, I would have been bouncing off the walls and going crazy pretty much 24/7. And so mum took me to an ADHD clinic to find out if I had ADHD, and they hooked my brain up with electrodes, and they basically said to my mum, like, okay, well, look, if your son has ADHD, which these tests don't exactly say exactly that he has ADHD, he said if it's a scale of 1 to 9, your son's about a 1. So we can medicate him, you can try it, but we don't know if it'll work. And mum said, well, I'll try anything at this point. So they prescribed me Ritalin. And you can imagine, if you give an already troublesome child at the ripe age of 6 or 7 fucking speed, well, that kid's just going to go crazy. So I was on the Ritalin for a week, and after that week, my mum was like, nah, this is bad. This is worse than without the Ritalin. So I kept getting into trouble. I was always getting into fights with my stepdad, because, you know, like, him and I didn't really get along, and every time he did punish me or just reacted completely out of proportion, it just caused more of a rift between us, and you know, I ended up resenting him pretty quickly. And so, yeah, I was just kind of getting up to all kinds of mischief. Like, every day it was just a new thing, you know what I mean? And yeah, my mum took me off preservatives in my food when I was about 7. And that actually did something. For a good 9 months, I think my behaviour genuinely improved, and like my mum still has letters from my grade 7 teacher, like, I don't know what you've done with Josh, but he's so much better. And then of course we didn't keep it up, and then I started stealing food from the cupboard and shit. So we still had food with preservatives in it in the house. Mum just wasn't letting me eat it, so I'd just eat it when no one was looking. And so that kind of devolved. And then, I remember, I think around 9, I used to start pulling a lot of sick days as well. And just, this is where I got a proclivity for lying as well, because I'd be getting into trouble so much. I learned how to lie so that I didn't get in trouble anymore. Which it became a real problem. Like, I still struggle with lying these days. It's not like if I'm in trouble for something, I'll admit to it because I've learnt from those experiences in the past. But there's other things like lying to myself. I still haven't learnt how fully not to do that, because lying was just such a common everyday tool for me. And I didn't realize that lying isn't just deceiving other people to get out of trouble. It's so many other things, deceiving people about who you are, or yourself about who you are, and things like this. So lots of lying. I remember one time in grade 7 or 8, when I started going off the walls a bit again, I snuck out of class like I liked to do, and I went to the janitor's office. Like, he had his little office / storeroom, and there was a whiteboard on the front, and I think sometimes the principal or whatever would come up and write hey, can you clean this or do that? And I just went up and wrote in massive letters Wayne, you're fired. And I got in heaps of trouble for that, and the principal was actually just why'd you do that? He was so upset, he was distressed. He came into my office crying, and I was like, oh shit, I don't know, just thought it was a funny joke. It was also during that time that I think I was a lot less aware as a kid, obviously, but I've never been a particularly malicious person, but always wanted acceptance and attention. So around that time, grade 3, 4, 5, 6, that was around the time where, if I'd get together with all my little mates in the schoolyard, we'd make fun of the weakest kid or pick on him or some shit, fucking not victimless crimes, basically. But obviously we wouldn't be violent towards them, but we'd fucking distress the shit out of them. And there was this kid at my school who was good friends with us, but he was autistic, so he would fucking snap if you pissed him off. And we always loved just poking and prodding him and pushing him until he eventually snapped, and then we'd all run away giggling and shit. So around that time I did start kind of treating other people like shit as well, without the knowledge or the tool set to be well, that's probably not on. I didn't really learn that until high school, after I was the victim of all the fucking making fun of being the new kid in a Queensland school from Canberra. So none of this shit's really that hectic. I'm just giving you the backstory. The backstory is I was always in trouble for something. Doctors thought I was ADHD to a degree. Mum was concerned, but no one could keep a lid on me. But once we start surpassing the age of 9, which will be the next video, that's when I started to really gain some independence as a being as well. So I started taking even more risks and doing crazy shit, and probably really snowballed from there. So stay tuned for that. But really, if you look at it, I was just a troubled kid at that time. I wasn't a fucking criminal or a little street rat or any of this shit. I was just a kid, going through pretty normal shit, fucking bad stepdad, and just with impulsivity issues and a proclivity for lying and stealing. But it gets worse, I guarantee. So anyway, that's the memoir for today.